It's Talk Point again on Lagos Television. My name is Omololu Rosanwo. Today on Talk Point, we'll be looking at governance and constitutional matters. Of course, if there's no good constitution for the country, it's pretty difficult to have the leaders and those who are also formulators of policies to carry and implement those policies rightly. So that's what we'll be looking at today. We want to see if we have a constitution that can still be looked at, or if we have those that are actually doing the right thing at the ends of our affairs. I have a guest in the studio that will be doing justice to that with me. I have the Professor Anthony Killer. He's a strategist and development expert, and also a political scientist and a public affairs analyst. Mr. Killer, nice to have you.
Good morning. Good to be here. I would like to greetings to everybody. It's afternoon now. So.
Yes, it's afternoon.
Yes, so good to be here, yes.
Yeah, I guess it's your first time on Top Point.
Yes, so this is a historical meeting. Remember this date. Let's see how it goes, though.
Yes, yeah. Let's start off. When we say governance, when we say good governance, what are your expectations of good governance?
Well, so governance generally, as the term says, is the management of people, resources, time to ensure peace and prosperity in a safe environment. That is the essence of government loosely. When you talk governance there, I'm assuming, and I think most viewers will be thinking of public governance, because we also have private governance. And we have governance in our homes, in our schools, churches, mosques, and of course the state. When it comes to the state, public governance, what we should be looking at are really four main factors. Number one is certainty. I know a lot of us, when we think about governance, we think of roads and hospital. Those are very important, but in reality, secondary issues. The first duty of governance is certainty. Certainty that if the law says that if you go to school, you get a job, you will actually get a job. If the law says that you're entitled to holiday, you will actually get your holiday. The certainty that what we agree in law is what happens in our life. The certainty to make sure that we do not turn beggars or bribers in the society because we follow the law. That is number one. The second thing that governance should assure us is security.
Okay.
The essence of a state is the possession of superior and legitimate force. That, some people have some force. Thugs have force, but their force is not legitimate. It might be superior, but it's not legitimate. Some of us have legitimate force, if you have private security in your house, but it is not superior to the force of some other attackers. It is only the state that has legitimate and superior force. That monopoly of legitimate and superior power confers on them the duty of guaranteeing security for all of us. Because without security, we cannot do other things that we need to do. So that's a very important thing. The second aspect...
The third aspect?
The third aspect is a guarantee that regardless of how we pray, how we worship, where we come from, what we look like, I dare say how we love, we shall not be discriminated against because we are in a place of good governance. Then the fourth one, and here we think of democracy, but not alone. The first one is, most people will say in a democratic government, anybody can become anything. I get it, but I'm too old for such an illusion. Allow me to say that the best people can get the best position. That is enough for me, rather than say anybody. Because you see, we should be very careful. We have described governance and good governance.
Yes.
Allow me to describe bad governance.
Okay.
A state that is bad. A state that is bad is a state where government can say one thing and say another thing tomorrow. You're not sure. Those are the symptoms of bad governance. It is a place where it is not safe. And when it is not safe, you cannot plan, you cannot predict, and you cannot project. Those are the symptoms of a bad governance. It is also a place where it is not who you know, it is not what you know, but who you know that makes things happen to your life. That is another element of a system governed by bad governance. Another element is the fact you don't feel safe. You can be discriminated against because of the way you look, maybe because of the way you worship.
Yeah.
You can be said they don't like you because you wear hijab or you do not wear hijab. a good governance, those things should not matter. And that is the view. And as you might suspect, I link the Constitution to that, but I'll stop there.
Okay. Yes, having given us the background to some of these issues, yes, the last point you made has to do with Constitution.
Yes.
Yes. Are you comfortable with the current Constitution that we're using in Nigeria, the 1999 Constitution?
No, my short answer is no. I'm not comfortable with it. I do not like the Constitution we have. I do not like it for three major reasons. Number one is that Constitution is a lie. That Constitution, the first three words in that Constitution says, we the people. You cannot start your life with a lie. We the people did not agree to that Constitution. That Constitution is a fruit of a military decree that we have just accepted, and we move on with it, and we keep pretending as if it is a good Constitution. To that extent, that Constitution is one very illegitimate because of the process that led to it. It is also flawed because it does not reflect the wish of the people. And then in practice, as experience has taught us today, it is not suitable for our life of today. The current Nigerian Constitution is built on an illusion and a desire to make us all Nigerians. That is a very dangerous illusion. You know, I can get the good intention of the people, but they're doing shortcuts. The truth is that Nigeria is a union of nations. Nigeria is not a nation state. Nigeria is a state within which there are different nations, and there is nothing wrong with that. All we need to do is to learn to live together within the confines of the law, and there'll be no problem. I have seen politicians write in their biography that somebody is detribalized. I want our viewers to Google some politicians, regardless of their political party. They describe themselves as detribalized. Let me say today that that is one of the ugliest words in the English language, detribalized, the terrible word. But you see, they do that because there is an idea that let us forget who we are, and let's all become Nigerians.
Yes, I just like to just cut in there.
Yeah.
Isn't as a result of some of the things, political leanings or ethnic leanings that have happened over the years that we're trying to push ourselves together and get it done as if nothing bad has happened?
Yes, but we're going to, I get a good intention, but we're going about it the wrong way. That's my point, you know. The way we're doing it is that we're saying that because boys and girls fight when they're young, let us create a classroom or a school where there'll be no boy, there'll be no girl. Let us say, oh, they're just children. This is not a boy, this is not a girl. It's counterintuitive, it's anti-natural, and it does not fit logic. It's an insult to intelligence. It's a shortcut. You see, what we're trying to do in Nigeria, and then what happens, we do that, then we start talking of zoning, rotation, this and that. It doesn't make sense. What we're doing is like having a child who is about 9 to 12 years old, or maybe less, and is wet in the bed. Instead of dealing with the issue to say, why should you be wet in your bed at 12 years old, we're putting plastic mattress on that bed. So what do? We clean the mattress, we dry it, but he's going to wet the bed tomorrow. Why don't we look at the underlying issues and change the lifestyle? So say, maybe don't drink water at night and do something else, or look at the psychological issue if they are there. Our problem, our solution does not lie in pretending to be one. Our solution is understanding how can we be different but still live together. Okay. Within the confines of the law.
Okay, yes, I recall that some 3 years back or so, the 10th Assembly, no, the 9th Assembly, tried to tinker with the Constitution. Yeah. They put up some machinery, the lower assembly, the upper assembly came together and they said they were going to look at the gray areas. I think about 68 gray areas were identified. Yes. As a professor in that area too, what should I say is your take, and what have they done right or what have they not done right, the actions and inactions on that issue?
Well, I think the intentions are good. Let me say something, people who read me or hear me might think I enjoy criticizing government. Let me make one thing clear. Contrary to what people think, nobody goes to government, whether president, governor, senator, or local government chairman, or local government councillor, nobody goes there thinking, let me go and destroy the country. Nobody goes there saying, let me go and make people suffer. No, they don't want to do that. Really, if they had their way, they will make things good and they will shine, and we're going to adore them. And we're going to look up to them and say, oh, what a fantastic leader. That is what they want in their hearts. Their intentions are good. What they lack most of the time is capacity, contact, and a bit of luck sometimes. So the intention of the people trying to think out the constitution is a good intention. But let me tell you something. You cannot amend an illegitimate and flawed constitution and get the right thing. You just have to do a new one. The little amendment, and students here of strategy would recall my papers on the difference between strategy and tactics. What they're doing is tactical. If you really want something new, you have to reshape it. A new constitution goes beyond the issue of the structure of the country. Let me say this very clearly, because I know that a lot of things happen in this country. We all used to say restructure before. Some people are ashamed of that word. I am not. I remain for restructuring, and I'm willing to take anybody on that issue, whoever they are. But the call for a new constitution goes beyond restructuring. Restructuring is a chapter in the book called New Constitution. The essence of a new constitution is to do a democratic constitution. It's to do a constitution that will give people a chance to, A, come together to say, this is the way we want to live now. B, once they come together that way, have a reset to say, now that we have these new laws that we all agree, our life is going to be different. The third advantage of it is that there are a few things that ginger people like a new start. We look at people, new year, birthday, new month. Some people won't get excited over a new week. A new start is always good for human beings. If we can reset our constitution and we all agree, it will give us a chance to say, okay, let's forget what has been done in the past and let's try to shape a new future.
Okay.
If I had my way, the new constitution will be very short. I have studied over 57 constitutions across the world, so I have an idea of what constitutions are like. And not only me, a lot of people, because we have talents in this country, people who know. A good constitution should be a short constitution that most people that can read, you see, I didn't say everybody, most people that can read can remember it, can have it in their pocket, so that when they go on the road, when they see something wrong, they say, that is not what the Constitution says. If we do that, if we engage people, allow them to have their input, allow them to approve it, we will discover what are our rights and our duty as a people, and it will allow us to shape the Constitution. I want a short Constitution because, and I want our viewers to think about it, anytime you have any agreement, terms and conditions, that is very long, one, you don't read the whole thing. Two, the evil you are afraid of tends to be hidden inside that very long document. So let's do a short one. Good documents are short, good agreements. What makes a constitution? Fundamentally 5 parts. Function of government, structure of the state, international relations, respect and guarantee for minorities, and a few things. That is all. That's what you need in a constitution. And it is clear. I believe, and I go back to where you started from, what is wrong with today's constitution? I believe that given all that we've learned from 1914 to 1960 to 1966 to 79, 1999 up to today, if the people of Nigeria were to rewrite their constitution, their interest, their experience, their exposure to the world will make you see that what they'll be asking for will be totally different from what we have now. They'll be asking for diversity, they'll be asking for guarantee, they'll be asking for the power of government to be curtailed. Young people will be asking for opportunity to do different things. I suspect if you do a survey of young people, most of them will want you to abolish youth service corps. You see, we have to embrace this kind of new future. We can't stay on something very old. We have to look at it. We have to say, what are the parts of the government? What are the limits of the government? There'll be more talk in the new constitution of the role of local government. People want to know, who's in charge of the primary school in my street? in my local government? Who's in charge of the road in my local government? If I walk out and I'm still studying this, and the road damages my car, whose fault is it? If this damage is from the road, I believe we should be able to take somebody to court. I'm still studying that thing very seriously.
Yeah.
Because if you cause this, if all of a sudden the light goes off and you destroy my equipment, I believe there should be somebody I can hold accountable to that. That's the kind of future we need to be thinking of. And it's a future that is not just a dream, because it happens elsewhere in the world, and because before now, thanks to technology, thanks to the interconnection of the world, the global world that we talk about, people can actually see what is going on elsewhere. You can flick your button, see what is going on in Lagos, see what is going on in New York, see what is going on in Harare or Kinshasa. If you're really interested, I read about 7 newspapers every morning from across the world. So every day you know what's going on around you. And there are lots of people that way. And we have to factor this in. So it is not enough to talk about the peculiar Nigeria problem anymore, because the world is global now.
Yeah.
And we have to prepare set of laws that will make us play in this global village.
Yeah, I'd like to go back to the beginning of the Constitution.
Yes.
You said, we the people.
Yes, three fundamental lines.
Yes, and that, well, you call it fundamental lines,
I take
but some
responsibility.
people put it together. They put it together.
But those people are not
maybe
people.
because the military, they wanted the military out,
Yeah.
and they wanted civil administration, the democracy to come in. They sat down and put some
And
things
say, let's
together.
do it quickly and get it.
Yes,
But if we do
it was
that-
a good intention.
It was a good intention, but that kind of intention is the kind of intention that says, somebody says, so that I can pass, let me cheat during the exam. It's a good intention. The student that cheats during the exam, he or she wants to pass as well. Does that justify it? It doesn't. You have to remedy it at some point. It's like somebody say, good intention, let me get that job. So what do? I lie. At some point, somebody like me is going to come and say, you lied, didn't you? So what do we do now? We have to remedy it. You see, I get it, good intention. You're right, it's good intention, but at some point you have to remedy what was wrong. Otherwise, it will not work.
Okay, the bane of development in Nigeria is also tied to the current constitution that we're having.
Absolutely,
Now,
so I believe.
yeah, what are you looking at now in terms of having a clear-cut constitution? Just like you said, should be simple, should
Succinct,
be
yeah, straight to the
succinct,
point,
yeah. So what? Let's start to look at advice now in that direction in the next 10
But
minutes.
I think in terms of content, there's a lot of ideas on the table. This is one country that is always full of ideas. We just need to implement them. We can look at the 99 constitutional report. We can look at the 1963 constitutional, which was the original constitution. We can look at other reports, then come up with a summary and some additions. If you ask me what kind of constitution I want from Nigeria, I would want a constitution that focuses on decentralized governance so that government is nearer to the people. I would want a constitution and a country that devolves power. You decentralize authority, you devolve power, and you digitalize process so that the state is light and everything is quicker. Because the way we're looking at the world, I spent years doing this. But, I say to people, even an MBA program should not be 1 year anymore. Because when we were doing our master's program, you had to travel from library to do your research. These days, you can just do it, get online. So things are shorter unless we want to turn it into something else.
Okay. Yes. As we round up, let me quickly mention the visit of the Patriots.
Yes.
To the president some 2 weeks back, or so last week. Yeah. Now, are you optimistic? I haven't discussed with the president, who is also an advocate of a true federal system. Are you optimistic?
Well, I'm optimistic, not just because of what the president did and said, but because I know the Patriots, and I know the Patriots' plan. The Patriots went to see the president, and they lined up in front of him, people who knew him when he was senator and governor, Bola Tinubu. They were in the trenches together. So mere seeing them, he remembers who he was. And as he said, I was there. And as he said, this is a group I cannot ignore. But he also did one thing. He said, I get what you want, I respect it, but I'm focusing on the economy right away, which I think means that if not for the economy, he will start working in it.
Okay.
We give benefit of the doubt to the president. We wait patiently. But one thing I tell you is that I know the patriots are not relying. The visit of the president is just a start.
Okay.
There is going to be more movement to get stakeholders, statesmen, and individual citizens involved in the drive for a new constitution. Because that is the way out of many of our problems.
Okay. You just said now that the president we also heard that he wants to revamp the economy. Yeah, would he really have time? Because if you're revamping the economy that is battered over the years, would you even have enough time to think of bringing other issues in until you're able to do that, which could take maybe another 1 year or so?
No, there's no time, I think you have time. It is individuals who in their private life say, let me do primary school, then go to secondary school, then go to university. That is a sequential lifestyle. In a collective arrangement, you multitask. There are many things you can do at the same time. That is why we have many ministers. Because one is doing agriculture, another one is doing banking, another one is doing health, another one is doing, something else, well, sports. So it is possible to do everything together. Also because these things are linked and are necessary to do. So let us not say he has to finish one thing to do the other. Focus, yes, but action can go on. And, the president is one person. We don't have to wait for him to get things done. He can contribute his quota like the rest of us. Again, I want a Nigeria where everybody is very important and they are appreciated for what they do, from the carpenter to the dentist to the cameraman to the fashion designer and then to the pharmacist. Not everybody looking towards the president or the governor. We need to decentralize that as well.
Yes, I'm afraid time is not on our side. We would have loved to have more of you because I know there are so many things you would want to reel out, but I want to thank you for being part of Talk Point. I've been talking with Professor Anthony Killer. He's a strategist, a development expert, and also a political scientist and a public affairs analyst. You're also into media and ICT. Yes.
And into food and drink.
Wow, that's good. That's good. I like to also be broad. Thank you so much, Professor Killer, for being part of Talk Point.
Good to be here.
Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point. 767 and 112 are still the lines to always call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble. Ensure that you do what is right so that Nigeria can get better. I am Omololu Rosonwo saying bye-bye.